I've seen worse. Nice shot.
Find honor, identity, and survival in a galaxy that never stops testing you. And in that struggle, we find reflections of ourselves. When you think of Mandalorians, you probably picture the shining Beskar armor, the T-visor helmets, and of course that famous line, "This is the way." But what happens when the way itself is tested? When the galaxy throws every possible trial against it? That's the story of the Mandalorian Creed. Not just as an unchanging relic, but as something constantly under siege, constantly forced to evolve. So let's break this down. The destruction of Mandalore, the near extinction of its people, and the shocking ways the code has been reborn. And maybe, by the end, you'll see that the Mandalorian Creed isn't as rigid as it first seems. It's actually one of the most adaptable belief systems in the galaxy. Part 1. The Fall of Mandalore. Can a creed survive without a world? First, we have to talk about the Great Cataclysm, the Purge of Mandalore. Known as the Night of 1,000 Tears, this imperial onslaught nearly erased Mandalorian culture. TIE bombers rained down fire on the domed cities, droids scoured the surface, and what was once a proud warrior civilization became ash and ruin. Now, here's the question. What happens to a code, a philosophy, when the physical foundation of its people is annihilated? Think about it. Jedi had the Jedi Temple. Sith had their strongholds. But Mandalorians? Their creed was tied to both their clans and their homeworld. Without Mandalore, the code was suddenly floating, anchorless. And yet, it survived. That's the incredible thing. The code didn't just vanish into history books. It went underground, carried in whispers and practices by survivors. Groups like the Children of the Watch clung to it as a lifeline, almost religiously. If anything, the Purge sharpened the code, transforming it into something even more sacred. Part 2. The Creed Reborn Through Foundlings. Here's where it gets fascinating. After the Purge, many thought Mandalorian culture was finished. But instead, we see a resurgence, one fueled by foundlings. Din Djarin is the perfect example. He wasn't born Mandalorian. He was a child, rescued during the Clone Wars, taken in by the Watch, and raised under the Creed. And he's not an isolated case. Foundlings became the backbone of Mandalorian survival. Without a thriving homeworld, Mandalorians expanded their identity outward, creating new generations from the broken pieces of the galaxy. And this is where the code shows its flexibility. Imagine if it had said, only bloodlines count. Only those born on Mandalore are Mandalorian. That would have been the end. But instead, it embraced outsiders, redefined family through loyalty and choice rather than birth. In a way, this is revolutionary, turning tragedy into an opportunity to grow stronger, more inclusive. It's almost like the old saying from Legends, Mandalorians are not born, they're made. And that ethos is carried forward, canon or not. Part 3. The Creed versus reality, clashing interpretations. But let's be real, that flexibility also sparks conflict, because not every Mandalorian interprets the Creed the same way. On one hand, you have the Children of the Watch, strict traditionalists who demand helmets stay on at all times. For them, the way is rigid, uncompromising. On the other hand, you've got people like Bo-Katan Kryze, who argue that the true spirit of the Creed is about honor and unity, not rituals. This clash is fascinating because it mirrors real-world debates in religions and philosophies. Do you follow the letter of the law or the spirit? Is tradition a foundation or a chain? The Mandalorian people wrestle with this constantly, and the debates aren't just philosophical. They decide who leads, who is legitimate, and ultimately, whether their culture survives. The Darksaber itself symbolizes this conflict. Some say whoever wins it in combat is the rightful ruler. Others, like Bo-Katan at times, have been willing to accept it through different means. So, what's the truth? Maybe it's less about the weapon and more about the collective belief in what it represents. Part 4. Adaptation in an ever-changing galaxy. Let's zoom out. If history tells us anything, it's that the Mandalorian creed is built to evolve. When the Republic threatened them, they adapted. When the Jedi fought them in wars that spanned centuries, they adapted. When the Empire tried to wipe them out entirely, they adapted again. In the Mandalorian series, we see that evolution in real time. Din starts out as a strict follower, helmet never off, rulebook in hand. But over time, his bond with Grogu challenges him to rethink what family means. Is it about bloodlines, rules, or love and loyalty? His personal journey becomes a microcosm of Mandalorian culture itself, the constant negotiation between tradition and survival. And if you want to see how this plays out in broader Star Wars history, look at the comparison with the Jedi. The Jedi Code was famously rigid, no attachments, no exceptions. And what happened? The Order collapsed because it couldn't bend. The Mandalorians, by contrast, bend constantly. And that's why, even in exile, they're still here. Part 5. The Creed's future. Rigid or resilient? So, where does that leave us? Is the Mandalorian Code a brittle set of ancient rules? Or is it a resilient framework that grows stronger under pressure? If you ask me, the evidence leans toward resilience. Every generation has redefined it. The warrior clans of ancient Mandalore lived one way. The pacifist new Mandalorians under Duchess Satine lived another. The Watch takes it in a different direction. And now Din, Bo-Katan, and the Armorer are shaping yet another interpretation. This is the way. Doesn't mean one single path. It means a way, a commitment to walk the road together, even if the terrain changes. And that's what keeps Mandalorian culture alive, even when the world itself is gone. At the end of the day, the Mandalorian creed isn't really under siege. It is the siege. It's been tested by fire, crushed under empires, split by civil wars, and yet it comes back stronger every time. That's not weakness. That's adaptability. So next time you hear, "This is the way," don't think of it as a rigid slogan. Think of it as a declaration of survival, of loyalty, of finding honor in a galaxy that tries to take it from you again and again. Because if history has taught us anything, it's this. The Mandalorian way may bend, it may fracture, but it never breaks. This is the way. So here we are, standing at the edge of the galaxy, looking into the future of the Mandalorian Code. This is the way isn't just a catchphrase. It's not just something Din Djarin mutters under his breath before blasting off in his N1 starfighter. It's something that has transcended the galaxy far, far away and landed firmly in our own world. And today, we're asking the big question, what's next? What does the future of this creed look like, both in-universe, on Mandalore itself, and out here in our culture? Let's start with us, the audience. Because, let's be real, part of the reason the Mandalorian creed feels so timeless is because it taps into universal themes that go way beyond Star Wars. Honor, loyalty, family, survival. These are concepts that resonate whether you're watching samurai films, Viking